All right, welcome to the stage, Justin Spencer.
Hey, folks. I'm going to grab this. Hey, it's great to be back at Switch. Let's do this. All right, so I want to tell you a story tonight about a man named Justin. He's okay, trust me. So Justin likes his central AC, but he felt really bad about it. So he bought a PV system to try to make up for it. And the question then is, did he really fix anything with this? Did he actually atone for his sin of central AC by buying a PV system? Or did he just make the peak problems on the grid already worse and expand his freeloading nature to the natural extent of his entire town? So what can I tell you about? I know a lot about how and when people use energy. This is what a bunch of colleagues of mine and I study. I know a little bit about markets, and I have some really good opinions about what's fair. So let's start with how we currently charge people for electricity in 95% of cases for people on residential meters. It's very simple. When you use more in a month, you pay more in a month. That's fantastic. But unfortunately, because of the increase in solar and wind, this isn't going to work for too much longer, all right? What we use during peak will drive even more of our costs than they do right now. That's going to be a big problem. But it's a great problem to have. The whole reason we have this is that the renewable revolution is here. Solar and wind are advancing and taking market share away from all these dirty fossil fuels that we've been fighting against for years. Even in northern Indiana, they're talking about going away from coal and towards wind and sun. But what happens when the sun goes down? Well, you have to use other stuff. You can use dirty peakers, you can use a smart thermostat with the natural thermal mass of your home, like I talked about a couple years ago. You can use batteries. But these things cost real money. And what does this mean for net metering? In the case of net metering, Justin, the freeloader, pays nothing for electricity, literally $0 last year, but he still causes a big peak load on the worst days of the year. This has caused a big fight all over the country. Solar advocates say, no, you can't kill off solar. You can't focus on solar. Utility folks say, but this doesn't work. It's not fair to low-income people who don't buy solar, right? So how can we move ahead here? I actually think we have to spend less time talking about PV. It's important. It's not going to work in the long run. We have to spend more time talking about AC. People who have AC create half of the residential peak. Right? That's literally half of the peak. Even in a state like Massachusetts, where only 30% of people have AC. So then the question is, how much extra stuff is necessary to keep the lights on when the sun goes down or when your AC ramps up? These things cost money, as I repeated before. So in the end of the day, how much extra stuff is needed? Well, for CAC, it's actually a lot higher than for PV. This is super interesting to me, right? No utilities are saying that the sky is going to fall because of the increase in CAC saturation. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give the CAC version of Justin 2 horns and the PV version 1 horn or so. That's 3 horns total for those of you who are really good at math in the audience. And then so once we've established that CAC and PV are both a problem, how do you fix this? Eric presented a few things that Excel offers up, but we're going to have to figure this out, right? That's the next part of this talk. That's right, 2 talks in 1, folks. So what matters to people? You have to be able to explain it, right? At the end of the day, does it make sense? Can I explain why my bill went up and down? Well, does it seem fair? Does it seem simple? So let's say we just put everybody onto wholesale pricing now. That graph on the left is the forward capacity market price of capacity in the largest market in the country. I have no idea why that goes up and down, even though I'm in theory a pro on this stuff. In Texas, prices on the wholesale market regularly hit $2 per kilowatt hour. That's 100 times the typical price. And people hate price spikes almost as much as they hate power outages. Now let's get to the simple part. I'm not very good at simplifying things. I'm an engineer. It's just sort of my affliction. I make things more complicated than they need to be. My grandmother needs things to be simple. If we can't explain it to my grandma, we can't convince people all around the country to actually do this. So at the end of the day, all of our opinions count in deciding what's fair, right? You can ask the experts for their advice, but we're all going to have to work this out. If you ask me, this is one of the most important problems facing utilities and regulators over the next 20 years, and I'm really excited to see how everybody in this room solves this problem. Thank you.